Apache. There's nothing hotter in the air or on the ground for Jack Holt, Army crew chief.
The Apache's got advanced everything, like a TV for target acquisition. The gunner aims just by moving his head. Talk about hot. This bird can make tracks at 200 miles an hour. Now that's cool. No, that's hot. Find your future in the Army.
You know, long time ago, I reviewed the Ghost action camera, and sadly, that was about as disappointing as you can figure, and it did not exactly hold up to what it should. And the fact that Activision decided to sell that with Call of Duty Ghost, they should be fucking ashamed of themselves. Because I'll be honest, the Ghost action camera was not the best thing on the market. In fact, there are a lot better action cameras nowadays, especially those that are GoPro knockoffs, or even just or just run cam knockoffs. But here's the thing. Before GoPro was a thing, there was action cameras before GoPro. One of the more popular ones, or at least still kind of popular, was Condor. Contour, Connor, what have you. Basically, this was a very popular action camera choice. Hell, there are still these types of cameras floating around the market. I remember seeing these in Walmart long time ago, back circa 2015, 2016. And that was before I decided to basically buy a GoPro Hero. And then, of course, years later, I'm now using a GoPro Hero 5 Session. But here's the thing. Tubular action cameras have not gone away. In reality, they are still around. There are some that are kind of the contour design. And then there are some that are actual literal tubes. So, when my birthday was coming around, I decided to, hey, throw a shot in the dark and see if maybe my family will get me one for my birthday, because they're pretty inexpensive, but when I have to look at parts that are more expensive than actual action cameras, I have to prioritize what needs to be bought and what needs to be got, especially when it comes to magazines, parts, attachments, things like that, even batteries. Which, believe me, BBs and batteries are kind of the big thing on my Amazon list right now, especially for the NCR loadout. But, here's the thing. I got lucky, and they decided to buy me one. The one in question is, of course, this. The Mini F9 DV, or DVR. And it's got a long name, but we'll get into this in a second. So when I went looking to actually look up price tags of this thing, I found out that they aren't exactly easy to do, especially when you start looking and seeing that when you type in Mini F9 DVR, you get these kinds of results. However, thankfully enough, the receipt was still in there with the birthday wishes, so I was able to find it and find out that it's actually named. Well, you can see it on screen right now, and the price tag is around the $40 price tag to around $35 to $36 price tag. Now, the question you're probably asking is, what's in the box, what's the camera look like, and how is it? Well, let's go ahead and jump to that, shall we? Of course, looking at the camera itself, it's your basic tubular camera. It's a full metal construction, it's got two buttons here and here, and turning it on, of course, it gives this nice buzzing sound. What you don't turn on here, this is actually a record button. But I'm going to turn it on, I want you to listen to it. It gives you 3 buzzes, which is actually very nice. 3 vibrations. And of course, when you press this, it also gives you another buzz. But we're not going to do that because, again, it's just one of those things. But when you turn it off, long buzz, really nice. The camera itself, you can remove this lens and, of course, do all this. But you're probably wondering about back here. Well, this is where you actually access your settings. The settings are, of course, your micro SD, your reset, the charge light right here, your switch between 1080p and 720p, and of course the regular video record and your picture mode. Which, why would you ever use the picture mode? I don't get that. Speaking of the charging, the cable it does come with is a pretty long one. You got this decent sized cable right here, which is pretty long. I want to hazard a guess and say maybe 6 feet, maybe, well, not even 6 feet, maybe, I want to say a good 3, 4, 5 feet long cable. But it's this end right here you're going to want to look at. Unlike, say, a micro USB or even a Type-C, for something like, say, a GoPro, this one uses a USB that I have no clue about. This kind of looks like something that you would find, I want to say this is kind of similar to a Game Boy charge port, almost, if you remember those things. Of course, this does come with a variety of attachments, but the two important ones you'll want to look at are, of course, the handlebar, one right here, which of course this will go on your handlebar, but I know many of you are probably going to use this for the barrel of the gun by simply unscrewing this, or just, you know, making sure that this thing can be attached very well, and, you know, all that goodness. But the important one you're probably wondering is, how am I going to attach this to that, and how exactly am I going to have this attached to it? Well, that's the good news. Because it does come with this. This is basically like, say, a GoPro housing. This is their standard polymer GoPro housing. I'm going to get it replaced with a metal one of these days, because honestly, the plastic I just don't trust not breaking. But much like the same one here with the GoPro Hero 5 Session, it's literally a lock-in. You literally just put it on here. Let's say I have it this way. You just bring it around, lock it in place, make sure it is symmetrical. Make sure that sucker's symmetrical. Come in and lock into place. However, it's not fully locked, as you have that issue. So whatever you do, do not have this be exposed, or else you're going to have a bit of an issue. And sadly, as much as I want to say, oh yeah, that's definitely going to stay in place, it's going to stay in place. Well, not really, because I'm just... yeah. So, definitely going to try and find a metal one of these things that locks more securely, or at least get a rubber band so I can just lock it a little bit better, if you know what I mean. But, aside from that, you do have essentially a lanyard that you can basically loop through this. I don't know why you'd want to have a lanyard through this. It's not that, well, great, to be honest. There is a microphone on this, but for the life of me, I could not find it. I've tried finding it, but I don't know where that sucker is. If there is a microphone on this, I don't know where it is, because, again, it's one of those things. Speaking of weird stuff that's with this camera, let's talk about the instruction manual. The instruction manual has, of course, two versions. You got English and you got Chinese, Mandarin, Korean, Japanese, don't know, don't care. But it's on this one page I want to kind of talk about in the English section that talks... Let's see here, number 7 is the microphone. So apparently this thing is at the bottom, the microphone is. So, there's the microphone. Right there. So you might have to take a drill and maybe open that up a little more. But either way, that's not what we're talking about. No. What we're talking about is, of course, this right here. The time setting. And reading this, you're basically already saying what the issue is, especially when you come to this section right here. Because what you have to do is you have to literally open up the file, the rich text document file in there, and literally change the Y to an N in order to disable your time display. Why would you have that in the first place? Why not just have it not have a time display in the first damn place? I'm just saying, but that gets better. When you go to the specifications of this motherfucker, it's literally you got a lens right here, high resolution, ultra wide. You got, of course, the video, which is right here. But the video format is where we start having an issue, AVI. AVI is not exactly a good format for my editing software, because believe me, I should know. Because here's the thing. Now, before I even get to the camera itself, here's the thing about the AVI audio, or the AVI files. If you are someone like me who actually uses PowerDirector, Cyberlink's PowerDirector, apparently there is a glitch in PowerDirector 11 to where AVI files are kind of a hit and miss, or at least one's recorded from this camera right here, and they come up as error. So, what do you gotta do if that happens? Here's what you gotta do. You gotta take the files from your file director, then you gotta put that sucker into Windows Movie Maker, and that basically fixes it. Literally, you have to turn them into MP4 files through Windows Movie Maker in order to actually have them be fucking...
What the fuck?
Let's get to the camera itself. The camera itself is actually pretty good, even though it is a big chunky boy, about as big as an actual tactical light. And when I mean tac light, I mean this thing is about as big as the... Well, I might as well grab a flashlight so I can show you. The camera is about as big as the cheapo LED lights you get from the dollar store. Hell, even has the same diameter as the flashlight itself. I am not joking. However, in terms of height, if you ignore the bulge here, about smaller than the actual flashlight, but still has the same kind of body and destruction and construction feel of the actual fucking light itself. Cheap dollar store flashlight comparisons aside, why should you get this? Well, here's the thing. It's affordable, number one. Number two, well, like I said before early on, the two attachments allow you to be able to essentially make this into a selfie camera. But I hear you asking, but Al, what if I want to use this as a POV camera? Well, let's go ahead and take a helmet, the actual helmet strap, and attach it to a helmet, which, by the way, this is something I actually had to look at and realize that the way the helmet strap is set up mostly for a bike helmet. To be exact, this style of bike helmet with all the holes in it. And me, I decided to go with the side mounting. And of course, when it's side mounted, it will be basically kind of pointed that way. However, the thing apparently meant for this thing to go this way and make you look like an idiot because you got a camera essentially setting up right here. No thank you, I think I'll go with my side mount, or at least having the mount kind of like right here, which I might actually move the mount here so that way, boy, this is set up, the camera will be basically in line here, although I haven't decided yet on that. I'm going to probably fiddle around with this. But basically, I have this set up for this because the current helmet I have, it's not exactly intuitive to attach. So, yeah. Let's get the camera attached to this and test out audio and see what this thing looks like from a helmet point of view. Okay, so the footage is actually good. The footage is not bad, thank God, but I'm a little wary about the audio. Granted, the microphone is literally right here. So if I was able to, without fear, actual fear, mind you, of destroying the microphone, I would actually drill out the sucker so it's a little bit louder. But again, I'm a little bit optimistic about the audio sounding alright. So, what about a selfie camera setup, you're asking? Well, that's actually a good thing, because I've got you fucking covered. So how one can make this into a selfie cam, low profile style, is actually having it like this. You see, I have, of course, a Picatinny rail attachment here for GoPros and stuff, but I've decided to take this part right here, attach it there, and the camera will essentially... Well, why am I doing this? I literally have photos of what this looks like. The camera is actually situated pretty well and close to the body. Yes, it's a little bit out some, but with a little bit of finagling here and there, and maybe even finding a lower profile mount, I could actually have this be a legitimate selfie camera and gives that old school retro look of a camera. But enough of my gabbing and talking about retro styles! Let's get to the actual footage and see how this works as an actual selfie camera. Once again, the footage looks alright, but the audio I'm a little bit suspicious on. So, let's actually take the camera itself, point it at us, and see what we sound like. Now, of course, I am testing this out right now with the in-mic
audio. Hopefully this turns out pretty well on camera. Let's hope.
Tunnel audio was not something to consider. In reality, the audio sounds like a GoPro inside its solid, waterproof case without any sort of holes to help give you sound. That aside, that audio aside, the footage itself actually does look good. It definitely does. I wouldn't say it's 1080p, as the actual selection says it is, but it is good enough to be an actual selfie camera. And that's what I'm going to be using this as going forward, as an actual selfie cam. And, of course, if you're someone like me who has a program to where you actually can remove the audio from this and just use the footage from it and have your GoPro audio, be it here, 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 or anywhere where the camera is located, basically be the main audio source for all the video. However, for those who are stuck with Windows Movie Maker, I am sorry to say, you're kind of stuck with the tunnel audio of this camera. I'm sorry, guys. But there is, of course, free editing software out there for you guys to learn about and use if you want. I'm just going to tell you now, it's going to be tough for you guys. It really is. So, yeah. That aside, is this worth the money? Should you invest in these as a cheap selfie camera that seems to be reliable, seems to hold up, and seems to have really good video, but not so good audio? Yes. Yes, I do. Because here's the thing. You don't have to always buy GoPros. That's the thing I've always championed, is champion the common man's airsofter. You don't have to spend all your money on GoPros. You can actually spend your money on just the one GoPro right here. Your POV camera can be a GoPro, while your selfie camera can be a cheap camera with great video, horrible audio. But if you have a good editing software, you can basically remove the audio from the selfie camera and use primarily the audio from your POV camera. I will do a video in the future talking about that, I promise you, but for now, I just want to say that as a selfie camera, I'm going to be putting this through its paces come April 1st at my Fallout game. But in terms of a selfie camera, or even just a camera to have to mess around with, maybe put some music over the footage, like yours truly is probably going to do, or have two cameras, that way I have the audio from the GoPro with the footage from this, say like when I'm going biking or anything of that nature, you bet you shenanigans I definitely am. And again, I personally say yeah. Probably invest in these. Actually look into these. Because again, a tubular camera is actually a lot more versatile than you think. Be it from the cheap one here to even the more expensive ones, especially the Sony ones, or even the actual Contour ones. I'm dead serious when I say that the Contour ones are ones you want to look at. Now, before I end this video, I will give a small caveat about those of you who saw, of course, my Fiatchi flashlight holder, and you're probably asking, will this fit in my flashlight mounts? Not really. I hate to break it the bad news. It does not. It will not work. It does not work very well. And that's the sad part, is that this could work. Kind of doesn't. Kind of does not. It will not work with regular... You need large scope mounts if you're wanting to run this in a full metal mount. And I am going to be looking at that. I'm going to be looking for those, but I'm just going to tell you right now, the ones I have do not work. So until I find the proper mount that, you know, that actually works with this, I'm stuck with, of course, a plastic mount for the selfie camera here. But like I said, this actually does work, and that's the key point in all. It works, it has good footage, bad audio. But like I said before, if you have a program that allows you to separate audio from this to your main POV camera, that's what matters. And, yeah. Thank you all so very much for watching. As always, I've been AirsoftAL, and if you want to help future camera reviews or even help sponsor future content, consider donating to the links down below, as we have a PayPal app and a Cash app. And if you want to buy this camera yourself as a cheap selfie camera, there will be a Buy Me link down below as well. We do not make any money off these Buy Me links. This is me giving back to the community, and now having more freedom from YouTube since they demonetized me. So, once again, we are now a viewer supported channel. So, thank you all so very much for watching. As always, I've been AirsoftAL, and if you've ran these types of cameras before, and I mean tubular cameras as either a POV or a selfie camera, let me know in the comments section down below what you think of them, and whether or not tubular cameras are more radical tubular, dude, versus GoPro. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, I've been AirsoftAL, the common man's airsofter who reviews affordable cameras, so you can find out if they're worth it for you or not. Till next time. Later.
Looking for that perfect game for your gaming console? Video Game Corner is the largest independently owned video gaming store in North Mississippi, located at 1519 Highway 72 in Corinth. We are an authorized limited-run retail store and have a massive collection of retro games and game systems, and also plush toys and collectibles. We also pay top dollar for your used video games. Check them out Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit Video Game Corner in Corinth.